What you're looking at here is a new American SUV from Dodge that's not made in America. It's made in Italy. My name is Omar, and this is the all-new Dodge Hornet. Alright, so the Dodge Hornet. This is basically Dodge's version of the Alfa Romeo Tonale. The Hornet here is meant to compete with the likes of the Honda CR-V and the Toyota RAV4, and like the Tonale, the Hornet is also available as a plug-in hybrid that offers you all-wheel drive, 288 horsepower, 30 miles of electric-only range, and it also has a PowerShot mode that can boost output by 30 horsepower. But that's not the one that I'm driving here. While the plug-in hybrid Hornet carries a RT badge, this one here carries a GT badge, and there's no electrification here. You still have standard all-wheel drive, but under the hood of the GT, you have a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder turbocharged engine making 268 horsepower, so it's just 20 less horses than the RT. And yeah, this thing hustles. It really moves when you push it. 0 to 60 in the GT will take you 6.5 seconds, although the RT is quicker, doing 60 in 5.6 seconds when using PowerShot mode. Now, I should mention that this is a bit smaller than the Honda CR-V that it's meant to compete with. It kind of fits in between the HR-V and the CR-V, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But yeah, this is what you get when a brand that makes a 1,025 horsepower Dodge Demon 170 is asked to compete with something like the CR-V and the Toyota RAV4. They do it with a little bit of an extra punch. I mean, you only have 2 drive modes in here, including Sport and Not Sport, which in my opinion is the way it should be. I mean, I really don't know anybody that goes through normal, eco, comfort, or whatever else you have out there. I personally just shift between Sport and Not Sport, that's it. And what takes it to the next level is that this is the only SUV in this segment that comes with an optional package called Track Pack. I don't have it here, but if you do get it, you'll get things like electronically controlled dampers, Brembo front brakes, and Michelin Pilot Sport all-season 4 tires. I mean, who's really going to take the Dodge Hornet on the track? Absolutely no one ever, but this is Dodge, and this is what they do, and I absolutely love them for it. This is by far the most fun driving compact SUV I've driven in a while. I honestly thought this would have a spring-like acceleration and feel too rental car-ish, but not even close. This thing feels really solid, and the ride quality isn't bad either. You may think that this is a hard-riding, sporty SUV, but not at all. It feels just as smooth as the competition, but moves around with a lot more confidence. Honestly, even if you put this up against a Mazda CX-30 Turbo, I'd pick the Hornet over that. This almost drives like a hot hatch. I've honestly really enjoyed driving this around for a week. I mean, who said that compact SUVs have to be boring? Yes, this is virtually a twin of the Alfa Romeo Tonale, and Alfa did do most of the work here, but I'm glad that Dodge decided to rebadge it and offer it at a more affordable price tag. The 9-speed automatic transmission here shifts really smooth. You don't feel any jerky movements at all, and it doesn't hang on to the revs a little too high, which kind of gets annoying sometimes. But yeah, it shifts amazingly smooth. You barely feel it at all. This is a great balance of fun, sport, and comfort, something that you don't see quite often in this segment. I mean, I wish Honda would offer us a CR-V SI or that Toyota would offer us a GR RAV4, but they don't. And the other thing that I noticed that makes this a little bit better than the competition is the cabin quietness. It is actually a little bit more quiet in here than the CR-V and the RAV4. They did a great job of insulating the interior quite a bit. But since this is more focused on power and performance, the fuel economy isn't as good as the competition. You get 24 miles per gallon combined here on the Hornet GT, while a comparable Honda CR-V will give you 29 miles per gallon. Also, on a full tank of gas, you're going to get a total range of 324 miles, while a similar CR-V will give you 406 miles. But yeah, if you want something more engaging rather than something that's a bit more plain and simple, the Hornet is a great addition to the segment. That said, let's get into the looks of the Hornet, and since this is based on the Alfa Romeo Tonale, it looks pretty much like that. Of course, Dodge has given it its own look and feel. The front end reminds me of something that blends between a Durango and a Charger. By the way, Dodge has been wanting to jump into this segment for quite a while now. In 2006, they revealed a Dodge Hornet concept which actually looked kind of cool and boxy, but now you have this. Lengthwise, the Hornet measures 178 inches, so it sits right between the Toyota Corolla Cross and the RAV4. In person, it definitely looks smaller than the RAV4, and the CR-V. But yeah, I really like the way this looks. You've got some unique Dodge touches here, including a badge on the fender. Over here, it's just a Hornet, not a Devil or a Demon or anything like that. And check this out. This actually has functional hood vents. Not sure if they are needed to cool the engine or anything, but they are real. The back of the Hornet gets a LED light bar, which is the new thing to do in car design these days. And if you look closely, you won't see the new Dodge Dash logo anywhere on the back because it's actually embedded right here into the taillights. That's a really nice touch. As for the wheel game, you're working with 17 or 18-inch wheels, but if you go for the track pack, you'll get 20-inch wheels. Oh, and Dodge has some pretty interesting names for the colors for the Hornet. Black is simply called 8-ball. You have 2 shades of gray, including gray cray and blue steel. You also have this really awesome Acapulco gold and hot tamale for red. I'm driving Blue Bayou over here. Pretty interesting names. You see, Dodge likes to have fun and I love them for it. But yeah, overall, I like the way the new Hornet looks. That said, let's talk about this interior. Now, if you put the Hornets and the Tonale's interior side by side, you'll notice that they're pretty much twins. I've only sat in the Tonale once, and this Hornet interior here feels very, very similar to that. That said, I'm pretty impressed with the build quality and the way everything is put together. You only have hard plastic in areas that you would expect the lower areas, but everything else is pretty soft touch or wrapped in vinyl, and you have some faux stitching here on the dash. It just looks really nice and feels really nice. Not sure if I should thank the Italian side or the American side for that. The seats here on my GT Plus model are very, very comfortable. You get cloth seats on the GT, and the GT Plus will give you leather seats that are heated and cooled as standard. The front seats are also powered when you go for the GT Plus, and you also get memory driver seats. Other comfort things include a heated steering wheel on the GT Plus along with a sunroof, which for some reason my test model doesn't have, maybe because it's a pre-production model, but this GT Plus model doesn't have it. As for tech, and this is where the Hornet stands out again over the competition, no matter which Hornet you go for, you get almost everything as standard. Right here in the middle, you have a 10.25-inch touchscreen display that houses the Uconnect 5 infotainment system. It's actually the same system used in the Tonale, and it's pretty easy to use and get around, although I will say that it does slow down here and there. You get wireless Apple CarPlay and wireless Android Auto for your phone connectivity, and you also get navigation if you go for the GT Plus. Also, as standard, every Hornet comes with this really sharp digital instrument display right here in front of the driver. It's very customizable and has a few different viewing modes, including a full screen map view, and if I'm not mistaken, no other SUV in this particular segment will have any of this, and it's all standard. And it gets even better with the driver assist tech. You get adaptive cruise control, lane keep assist, blind spot monitoring, all of that. And if you add on the Tech Pack Plus, you get an active driving assist system that will also keep you centered in the lanes. As far as the camera game goes, you have a rear view camera as standard, but if you go for the Tech Pack Plus, you'll get a 360 surround view along with a bunch of other camera angles. All right, so now that we've gotten through all of that, let's talk about the practicality side of things because this is an SUV, and this is where things get a little snug for the Hornet. All right, so Dodge hasn't given any official figures of what kind of legroom you're working with in the second row, so let's just hop in and see how it feels. I'm about 6 foot tall, that is my seating position. As you can see, it's not bad, but it's not great either. Nonetheless, the seating position back here and the comfort that you have isn't bad at all. I can see myself sitting here for a pretty long drive. Again, this sits between something like the Honda HR-V and the CR-V, so it's not as tight as the HR-V, but it's definitely not as spacious as the CR-V. And you can't get heated second row seats, and honestly, I didn't expect that. All right, let's check out the cargo capacity. You can pop open the trunk by using a button located right here next to the rear view camera. And once you get it open, you're working with 27 cubic feet behind the second row. And with the second row down, you have around 58 cubic feet. Of course, something like the CR-V will give you much more, and something like the HR-V will give you much less. All right, before we talk about pricing and whether or not if you should consider buying a Hornet, let me point out a few important daily ownership highlights that I'll have to show all of you. Like most cars in this segment, you have 4 cup holders, 2 in the front right there. You've also got some bottle holders, but 4 real cup holders, and then you have 2 in the back right here in the center armrest. Here are the keys to the Hornet. Just like every other Dodge key, you have a Dodge logo on the back. You have lock, unlock, trunk release, remote start, and your panic button. Door close sound from the outside. And the inside, solid. Charging game-wise, up front you're working with a wireless charger right there and a USB-A and C port. Those sitting in the back have a USB-C and A port, so they'll have to fight over who gets to use what. And of course, let's do an indicator and horn sound test. Indicator first. Kind of weird. Now for the horn sound. That's solid. Alright, so should you consider buying the Dodge Hornet over the competition if you want a compact SUV that's fun to drive and if you're willing to make a compromise over the space offered in something like the CR-V and the RAV4, then absolutely yes. There's really nothing else in this segment that will give you this much power, and if you're thinking about the Mazda CX-30 Turbo, that gives you 250 horsepower and is actually more expensive by around $3,000. The Dodge Hornet here starts right under $30,000, while the GT Plus that I'm driving here starts at around $35,000. So in my eyes, this is a better option than the CX-30 Turbo, not to mention all that standard stuff that you get, including the touchscreen display in the middle and the fully digital instrument display. Now, if you're looking for a more spacious second row with more legroom and more cargo space, then you might want to stay away from this. But I gotta say, if you do, you're not going to have as much as fun as you will in the Hornet. Either way, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, make sure you follow me on Instagram and on TikTok. My handle there is @OmarDrives. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Take care. Peace. The only thing that I didn't really like is that you don't have paddle shifters in here. You just have the gear shift. You move it over to the left to switch around in manual mode. And it won't really deny you any shifts. It's pretty good. Now, I don't think this will happen, but I just want to dream for a second. Imagine a Dodge Hornet SRT. That would be something really fun. Maybe they'll do it, but maybe they won't because, you know, SRT is going all electric and V8s have to come to an end. That's just the way it is. It's sad. And I don't like it. I don't know about you. I don't want my SRT car sounding like a Dyson vacuum. I want it sounding like a V8 muscle car.